Another Tuesday is upon us, and you know what that means here on the A to Z Sports Podcast Network. It means it is time for the Tuesday Titans Tossup. I'm Luke Worsham, Titans reporter for A to Z Sports. What do we do on the TTT, the Tuesday Titans Tossup? Well, I will let you know. Every Tuesday during the offseason, we toss up a topic related to the Tennessee Titans, and in less than 10 minutes, I will tell you everything you need to know, every bit of analysis imaginable about that topic. This week's topic is a pretty important one, and I think a pretty fun one, and that is why the Titans still need to draft a receiver with their first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. Titans have made some moves at pass catcher during free agency through trades. We're going to get into those, but we're also going to talk about, and what our main objective is going to be in this week's TTT, is to talk about why the Titans still, despite those moves, need to add a receiver with their first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. We will get to that in just one moment. It's going to take less than 10 minutes. But first, I want to remind you that the TTT, the Tuesday Titans Tossup, is presented by Hecklin, Braden, and Smiley Family and Cosmetic Dentistry here in Nashville. If you are a regular listener of the TTT, you know that my last teeth cleaning came courtesy of Hecklin, Braden, and Smiley Family and Cosmetic Dentistry, and it was a tremendous experience. And look, they realize that there are a lot of people who don't like going to the dentist. There are a lot of people who find it scary, who find it stressful, and it just gives them anxiety to even think about it. If that's you, if that's the position that you're in, that is all the more reason to try these guys out, because they are friendly, they are welcoming, they are accommodating. You're not going to have to sit around in the waiting room and wait for a whole bunch of time. I certainly didn't have to when I went. They're going to take care of you, they're going to have attention to detail, and they're going to do everything in their power to make you comfortable. And they're not just going to make you comfortable when you're in the office, they're going to make getting to them comfortable too, because they're located near West End in a great part of town that's accessible from just about anywhere easily in Nashville. And they're open 5 days a week, which isn't true of a lot of dentists in town. So whether you're looking to have a routine cleaning like I got, or you're looking to have some cosmetic work done, Hecklin, Braden, and Smiley Family and Cosmetic Dentistry is where you need to go. You can get an appointment online by going to drhecklin.com, and when you do, you're going to find out where great smiles get noticed. So again, the topic that we're tossing up this week on the Tuesday Titans Tossup is why the Titans still need to draft a receiver with their first pick. And I say first pick because they could very well trade down, and I wouldn't necessarily bemoan that choice. I think trading down could work out in their favor very well. So just whatever their first pick is, whenever that comes in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans need to take a wide receiver. I want to start by talking about what they've already done at the pass catcher positions in free agency, because it's been pretty good, right? They've done good things at the pass catcher spots. First, they signed to a one-year contract former Falcons and Browns tight end Austin Hooper. Now, Hooper's not a world beater. He's not Rob Gronkowski. He's not George Kittle, Travis Kelce, but he's proven himself to be a capable, quality, pass-catching threat at the tight end position. Just didn't really work out in Cleveland, and to be quite honest, that signing never really made sense for them, considering they already had David Njoku in the fold. So getting a fresh start in Tennessee, I think, will be good for Austin Hooper, but more importantly, it'll be good for the Titans, because before the Titans signed Hooper, the tight ends they had on their roster were Tommy Hudson, Briley Moore, and Jeff Swaim. Not exactly an exciting trio of players there at the tight end position. And look, there's more to be done there. Again, we're talking specifically about wide receiver and getting better there. But there's more to be done at tight end. Austin Hooper, though, a capable option and leaps and bounds better than the guys they had last year, which was Swaim, Anthony Firkser, and Michael Pruitt. At wide receiver, the Titans did release Julio Jones, and we'll talk more about Julio in just a minute. The Titans released Julio Jones and then very quickly went and traded for Robert Woods from the Rams. They gave up very little to do that, sending just a 2023 sixth-round pick to the Rams for Robert Woods. And the Rams actually picked up his bonus for this year, meaning that his salary cap will be even lower than we initially expected. Robert Woods is someone that fits in very well with the Titans. He does all three things that John Robinson talks about wanting out of receivers. He gets open, he blocks, and he catches the football. Mike Vrabel spoke very highly of him ahead of the Titans Sunday Night Football game against the Rams. But even though the Titans did good work in getting those two pass-catching threats, there remains work to be done. And here's why. If the season were to start today, and it doesn't, right? There's more work to be done. But if the season were to start today, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine would be the Titans' number 3 wide receiver. Now, I like Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I think he's a valuable player. I think he helped the Titans win games in 2021. But he is not an NFL number 3 receiver. He is a quality depth option because of his ability to play all 3 positions. He blocks well. He plays special teams. He's someone you want to have on the roster. But he is not, I repeat, not an NFL number 3 wide receiver. And far too often in 2021, the Titans had to rely on him as a number 2 receiver with all of the injuries that Julio Jones went through. Now, I said we'd talk more about Julio Jones, and we're going to do that here because regardless of where you stand on the Titans releasing Julio Jones, whether you were all for it and you thought it was a great, savvy move, or you're more like me where you're a little perplexed by it, you don't really know that it makes a ton of sense or that it made a ton of sense, either way, you have to agree that releasing Julio Jones leaves a void at wide receiver for the Titans that Robert Woods, or as Twitter refers to him, Bobby Trees, alone is not going to fill. And you're also really not going to fill that void well by any of the veterans who were left in free agency. You can go get an older, Emmanuel Sanders or someone like that. But the best way for the Titans to fill their need at wide receiver is to make a push early in the 2022 NFL draft for that. John Robinson, virtually every time he has talked to the media in any form this offseason, has said, we, the Titans, have to get better around Ryan Tannehill. And I don't know that having Robert Woods, who, by the way, is coming off of an ACL injury, and we saw in 2021 how even if you're on the field, even if you're back playing, it sometimes takes some time to get back into the groove. We saw that with Taylor Lewan and with Bud Dupree. So I don't think that just having Robert Woods to pair with A.J. Brown, who, by the way, needs to be used a lot more this season by the Titans, but that's a separate conversation for another time, maybe a future episode of the Tuesday Titans Tossup. But what they have right now is not getting better around Ryan Tannehill. Austin Hooper helps. Robert Woods figures to play more than Julio Jones did in 2021, but they're not where they need to be. Because if they want to win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill, and they absolutely have the defense to do it, but if they want to win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill, who has repeatedly shown that he cannot lift the team in the postseason, he's won in the postseason, but only when Derrick Henry has monster games, they got to get better around him significantly, and they haven't achieved that yet, and they're not going to unless they spend a high draft pick on a wide receiver. Now, you may be sitting there saying, why does it have to be the first pick? Because that's what I said at the beginning of the episode. It has to be their first pick in the draft. Here's why. Des Fitzpatrick in the 4th round is not going to cut it. Taywan Taylor in the 3rd round is not going to cut it. Now, both of those guys were severe disappointments, so perhaps that's an unfair nitpick to make. But the quality of wide receiver you're going to get in the 1st or 2nd round is a lot better than the quality you're going to get in the 3rd round. That's not an argument I have to make. I don't have to write a treatise on that, right? We can all understand that. And the Titans desperately need a young, quality wide receiver to pair with A.J. Brown for very little money for the next 4 years. Because A.J. Brown's going to be making a lot of money. Robert Woods is on a veteran contract for as long as he sticks around. And they need a third, capable, explosive, young player to come in and contribute and help Ryan Tannehill win games. That does it for this week's episode of the Tuesday Titans Toss-Up. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you come back next week. If you do, we'll do it all again.